Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of New Heights with Vikas. आज चाहिँ हामी on site shooting मा छौं है. Today we are in Hyvinkää, Konecranes को headquarter, and we are meeting up with Kajal. Kajal is the business and strategy manager, development manager at Konecranes. So let's go and meet her. Right? Let's see what she's doing. All right, here we go. Kajal is here. Kajal, how are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you.
And again, Kajal has been here in Konecranes with for about how many months?
Since April,
Since
so
April,
a bit
right?
more than 6 months.
Okay, so Kajal, if you could tell us where we are now at the moment and what are we looking at in this area?
We are in Hyvinkää, headquarters of Konecranes, and welcome both of you. And we are now in reception area.
Yeah.
This is like one of the main buildings here in Hyvinkää. यहाँ चाहिँ अब हामीले different parts of cranes देख्न सक्छौं. This first one is manual chain hoist. यसमा चाहिँ हामीले special latch system develop गरेको छ Konecranes ले.
Okay.
अनि यसले पछि
Is that the proprietary?
Yes.
Okay.
And यो चाहिँ एकदम safety को लागि भनेर develop गरेको हो. So then both hands चाहिँ maintenance worker को दुईटै hands चाहिँ free हुन्छ भनेर.
Okay.
Otherwise यो एकदम गाह्रो हुन्छ निकाल्न. यहाँ heavy कुराहरु
very
हुन्छ नि
true.
attached.
And I think they have like more info, like
Yes.
more instruction in
Yes.
here also. Okay,
Yes.
that's very true. Right?
Yes. So this is one of the oldest chain hoist system.
Has there been any new modification on this?
Yes.
Okay.
Coming up.
Okay. Okay. Good.
So this is our rubber tires. This is used यो चाहिँ हाम्रो rubber tire gantry crane भन्छ RTG जुन चाहिँ portsहरुमा use हुन्छ.
Okay.
So त्यसको special type of tire भयो.
Maybe a bit more history also
Yeah.
when we are discussing on this one. Was it so that of course Konecranes is used to be part of Kone before, and then they kind of separated because this was mostly into machinery, mostly into lifts and industrial use. Was it so?
Yes.
Okay.
So Kone Corporation, it was established in 1910.
Yeah.
So we have 100 years plus experience
Yeah.
as a whole company. And in the meantime, there were many acquisitions happening.
Yeah.
But first Kone Corporation थियो, त्यसपछि 1990s, around that time, then the Kone and Konecranes got separated. So Kone ले चाहिँ lifting, so liftsहरु, escalatorsहरु यस्तो हैन, all over Finland and plus other countries. अनि Konecranes ले चाहिँ cranes, either it's industrial cranes or then it's these ports cranes, and I am in ports.
Okay.
Ports cranes.
Okay.
Yes.
But I'm sure like still, even though they are separate, still I think there's a lot of collaboration with
Yes.
collaboration with them.
त्यता Kone छ, यता Konecranes छ. So this was where everything started. यहाँ चाहिँ धेरै धेरै पुरानो buildingsहरु नि देख्न सकिन्छ.
Okay.
So you can see it outside also.
And is this the new version?
These are the newer versions. यो सबै electric hoist chainsहरु हो. So different weightsहरु lift गर्न सकिन्छ यसबाट, and it depends on the purpose कहाँको लागि के use गर्ने भनेर हेर्न सकिन्छ. And there it's the joystick with which you can manipulate that.
And usually they have it strapped around, and
Yes.
they usually have
Yes.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I'm sure like it's much more easier for them to move around with this. Right?
Oh.
Okay, quite interesting. And I think they also have the sort of like a maximum weight limit and stuff.
Yes.
125, 500.
Safety is very important. So यहाँ धेरै developmentहरु भइरहन्छ R&D मा धेरै invest गर्छ हैन for safety, because यहाँ सबै यो बनाउने र यो यहाँ काम गर्ने मान्छेहरु सबै maintenance workers हुन्छ. So उनीहरुको लागि धेरै नै safety को trainingsहरु पनि दिन्छ. भर्खरै यहाँ एउटा training भएर निक्ल्यो. I don't know which training was that, but धेरैवटा maintenance workers are यहाँबाट भर्खरै निस्केथे. यो one of our industrial cases हो. यो चाहिँ भित्र पोस्ट्सहरु छ भने यताबाट हाल्ने, अनि त्यसपछि automatically गएर stack गर्छ, On this when we enter some command, then ulai चाहिँ हामीलाई जुन post चाहिएको हो, package चाहिएको हो, निकालेर यहाँबाट निकालिदिन्छ.
Okay. And we also see quite a big screen there,
Yes.
and then also some lifts up on the second floor.
Yes, so that is also our chain hoist. त्यहाँ चाहिँ cabin छ. So that's one of the cabins that we use in the both in ports and industrial industrial cranes. त्यो चाहिँ त्यहाँ बस्ने अनि त्यसपछि I mean workersहरूले चाहिँ अनि cranesहरू lift गर्ने containersहरू lift गरेर सार्ने यताउता move गर्ने.
Yeah, and especially like in the ports, the cranes are quite big, quite
They are
high,
very big,
right? They're
very
very
high.
big and very high. And कहिलेकाहीँ हुन्छ नि अलिकति हिडीबाट हेर्दाखेरि it's so high.
Yeah.
त्यस्तो माथिबाट चाहिँ मान्छेहरूलाई चाहिँ they're just with few joysticks. They're
Yes,
like
yes.
making sure everything
But
works.
it's actually very easy to use. मैले चाहिँ एउटा RTG भन्ने युज गरेको थिएँ.
Okay.
हामी युएसमा जाँदाखेरि त्यहाँ एउटा कस्टमर छ हाम्रो अनि त्यहाँ गएर चाहिँ त्यो RTG भनेको like it's not super high but it's big enough that it's exactly that crane.
How much? What height? Are we talking about?
I don't know exactly but
Okay.
you'll see it there. And हामीले त्यही crane अहिले पछि पनि देख्छौँ
Okay.
त्यहाँ. So it was very easy to use,
Right.
but scary because you also move. That also moves back and forth. Yes. So
And is it so that, of course, like when you're working in this kind of industry, that you go to different events and different field visits, for example, and then probably try out things yourself, right? And I think that also gives a lot of
Yes.
kind of like a big kind of, let's say, incentive at working in this kind of industry, right?
Oh, and especially मेरो फिल्डमा म स्ट्र्याटेजीमा मात्रै काम गर्छु हैन. सो स्ट्र्याटेजीमा चाहिँ के हुन्छ भने एक्चुअल प्रडक्ट्सहरू त्यो धेरै देखिँदैन. हामी स्पेशली कस्टमर्सहरूसँग बोल्छौँ, सप्लायर्सहरूसँग भयो, मोर अफ एन इन्टर्नल डिस्कसन्समा हुन्छ. अनि when we go to these kind of visits and it really gives you an idea what is actually happening.
Yeah.
भनेर.
Yeah.
Natra, we are mostly in the office, making strategies of our where our market is going, for example. So the market हेर्दाखेरि हाम्रो company कता गइरहेछ हेर्दाखेरि numbers-हरू हेर्दाखेरि सबै products-हरूको बारेमा सबै थाहा हुँदैन. So these kind of visits are really, really good.
And I think
Very
it gives
informative.
very informative, exactly. And when you are building a new strategy, definitely I think that also gives a lot of foundation.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
whatever you're discussing, when you have a kind of like real first-hand experience on actually touching those products or even trying out those products in the first place.
Yes.
Okay, good. Then should we move into the next area that you want to show us?
Yes, let's go inside.
So we are still in reception, Konecranes office reception. And of course the Christmas season is going on, so we have the Christmas tree there.
Basic point यहाँ चाहिँ के हो भने हामी material handling businessमा छौँ हैन, whether it's industrial or ports, but we move what really matters.
That's very true. Very true.
We do have branches in over 50 plus countries.
Yeah.
So we are.
Any specific reason why we have?
I think
those
it's just
two?
because
region?
the time difference is so much
Okay.
that we need to check those.
Okay. Okay, sounds good.
Otherwise, we could have like a 50 plus.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
Right. Good. Then should we move into the next area and then look into cranes?
Yes, let's go outside.
Okay, Kazu, where are we going now?
We are going to see some cranes.
There's quite many buildings. So
Yes.
which one is? This is the main building, no?
Yes,
So
this is the
big
main
building. What
building.
about the other one? There was also the other side.
Yeah.
Is that also part of Konecranes?
Yes.
Okay.
There are many buildings here because this was established so long ago. अनि यहाँ चाहिँ old buildingsहरू धेरै छ, 1856, 1843 देखिको buildingsहरू छ.
Okay.
अनि some parts ports business को लागि छ, कुनै parts industrial business को लागि छ.
Is it so like in Espoo it was mostly about strategy and businesses and
Yes,
stuff, and in here probably mostly in terms of handling kind of like physical products and stuff? Is it so? Or?
Yeah, this is यहाँ चाहिँ factory भयो. So factory plus business units.
Okay.
अनि म चाहिँ business area मा छु which comprises of 6 business units. अनि Espoo मा चाहिँ more of a corporate plus the Konecranes leadership team
Yeah.
and strategy. So these kind of bit corporate teams मात्रै छ त्यहाँ चाहिँ.
Kone is here, right?
This is all Kone. So हामी त्यहाँबाट start गर्यौँ हैन. Multiple buildings are across भइसक्यो, but still it's going on. यहाँ धेरै फ्याक्ट्रिजहरु छ. त्यही भएर.
Are there people traveling from Helsinki बाट Hyvinkää travel गरेर on a daily basis गर्नेहरु टन्नै छ होला नि हैन?
छैन. Hyvinkääबाट Helsinki आउँछन् कोही but mostly Hyvinkääमै बस्ने मान्छेहरु या nearby हरु. अनि Espooमा आउनेहरु Helsinki Espoo plus extension Uusimaa region.
Okay, so we are here on a crane. Another crane, right?
Yes. So your testing crane, no?
Testing crane, man. Just like testing the things,
just testing.
how it works, right?
Yes. You चाहिँ probably trainingsहरुको लागि पनि use हुन्छ. So there are certain containers similar to in the ports. So त्यहाँ माथि cabin हुन्छ. And the cabin like maintenance.
The similar cabins that you showed at the office, right?
Yes. So the cabin huncha, joysticks huncha, and then you move that. That's grabber. So you move that from left to right, and then you can go down and then grab the container and move to a different place. It's really fun to try it.
And was that the
rubber tires? Yes,
yeah.
That's the one.
And that's also controlled by the person, like with the joysticks, for example.
Yes. And it's fully electric. Hamro almost sabai products are fully electric huncha. Manual or electric.
And that means like this type of crane is already in somewhere in the harbor.
Yes.
And they're just testing pretty much. Do they test in terms of the strength of the wires, or the strength of the containers itself, or what do they test?
Not the containers, but all the components of the crane.
Okay. Yeah. And then what is the any idea what is the maximum load that they can handle?
It depends on the product, right? And depends on the port.
Yeah.
Maybe 25 tons was one of the chain hoists.
Yeah.
So depending on the port.
Yeah. So kind of like the overall idea is that before deploying any of these kind of like products to any of the ports, you have to try it. Probably try it multiple times, right? On different circumstances and different conditions.
Definitely. There is factory testing. So you चाहिँ एउटा crane भयो testing को लागि राखेको हैन. अर्को चाहिँ हरेक products जुन चाहिँ हामीले customer लाई पठाउनु भन्दा अगाडि चाहिँ factory acceptance testing हुन्छ. So त्यसमा चाहिँ हरेक productहरु यो ठीक छ कि छैन, safety को लागि भयो या throughput को लागि भयो हैन. हरेक कुरामा different types of testing हुन्छ. So that needs to be done.
Alright.
This is one of the inside the port मा use हुन्छ हैन. जब चाहिँ यो containers हरु ports मा आइसकेको हुन्छ, यहाँ ports को एउटा ठाउँबाट चाहिँ trucks हरुमा राख्ने या trains हरुमा राख्ने यसको काम हो हैन. अनि अर्को चाहिँ ship to shore भन्ने हुन्छ. So जुन चाहिँ ship हरुबाट आउँछ, so ठुलो ships हरुबाट आउँछ नि container वाले ships हरु. So त्यहाँबाट निकालेर अनि shore मा राख्ने हुन्छ. And then after that either that goes to the trucks or the rail, or then it goes to storage area in the shore. यहाँ तल चाहिँ मोटर्सहरु, electrical सामानहरु हुन्छ. माथि cabin हुन्छ. This is the stairs. There is no lift or anything in this crane. So माथि जाने तल आउने यो सबै stairs बाट गर्नुपर्छ. यो भन्दा अझै ठुलो cranesहरुमा चाहिँ lift हुन्छ.
Okay.
Maybe come here. यो भन्दा ठुलोहरुमा चाहिँ लिफ्ट्सहरु हुन्छ. So that's a bit easier. Otherwise यो माथि stairs नै चढ्न यो भन्दा double triple हुन्छ. Usually stairsहरु. So usersहरुलाई नि धेरै नै गाह्रो हुन्छ चढ्दाखेरि.
A lot of wires coming out through the tunnel भनौं न. To the bars.
Yeah. And this looks like it's fixed here, so यो अगाडि पछाडी move चाहिँ गर्दैन. माथिको मात्रै testing जस्तो छ यो. नत्र भए यो tires हरु तलपट्टि त्यो trains-हरुमा हुन्छ, train tracks-हरु हुन्छ नि, हो त्यस्तो राखेको हुन्छ तल. So then the tires are moving in that area only. So त्यो भन्दा अगाडि पछाडी जान मिल्दैन.
Yeah. Okay, but good. thanks so much, hey, Kazal, for showing us your workplace and showing us the machines. And I'm sure, the viewers that are watching and listening to the podcast, I'm sure they would really appreciate kind of like how much kind of like work is done behind, and also really, I think it's a lot of pride for us also to have someone from our community also, working in this kind of like a bigger corporation. So thank you so much for having us and showing us around. I'm very excited to have Kazal on the studio. Kazal is currently a strategy and business development manager at Konecranes. Kazal, great to have you on the studio. How are you doing today?
I'm very good. Thank you for invitation.
Wonderful. Kazal, we're gonna of course talk about your journey, your education, your academy, and plus also the kind of like a business journey that you have. तर त्यहाँ जानुभन्दा अगाडि पनि if we can discuss a bit about, if you could tell us a bit about your time back home, a bit about, for example, the education, a bit about also the professional aspect also with us and with our audiences.
Yes, so म काठमाडौँबाट हो. मेरो बाबा जीवराम भण्डारी हो. उहाँ चाहिँ उहाँ पनि इन्टरभ्युजहरू गर्नुहुन्छ पोलिटिकल एन्ड कल्चरल पर्सनालिटिजहरूलाई बोलाएर. अनि अहिले चाहिँ उहाँ यो हो बहस चलाइसिन्छ. तर पहिला पनि अरू पनि च्यानल्सहरूमा काम गरिसक्छ. He is one of the best journalists in Nepal at the moment. Mommy होइसिन्छ मेरो अहिले हाउसवाइफ होइसिन्छ, but she was also working in the office before. भाइ छ मेरो, भाइ बुहारी दुवैजना नेपालमै हुनुहुन्छ.
Oh, they're Nepal. Okay.
Yes. So they all live there. म चाहिँ नेपालमा लिटल एन्जल स्कुलमा पढेँ 10th ग्रेडसम्म. त्यसपछि युनाइटेड एकाडेमीमा पढेँ +2 11th and 12th grade.
What stream?
Mathematics, physics,
mathematics.
Yeah,
okay.
We had to choose between bio and physics at the time, I think. So biology पढ्न चाहिँ अलिकति मन लागेन हैन. Doctor बन्ने इच्छा थिएन मेरो. If you get good grades in 10th grade, then you either choose biology or mathematics, or then you go to be a doctor or an engineer. Those are main two options available. So I chose engineering from there. So yeah, so that was all that I did in Nepal. I didn't work or anything, but I did volunteering work. So वृद्धाश्रमहरुमा गएर volunteering गर्ने लेख्ने. I used to also write.
On certain topics, or what topics were there?
मैले चाहिँ त्यहाँ एकजना बाबाको साथी होइसिन्थ्यो. उहाँले पनि वृद्धाश्रम जस्तो चलाइसिन्थ्यो अनि त्यसको बारेमा चाहिँ लेख्न हेल्प गर्दिन्थे मैले.
Yeah, I was reading through your profile, and then त्यसमा चाहिँ नि field researcher, NGO, Aging Nepal, research on elderly, was it like diseases and prevention? Was it something like that? Right? Okay. What was it all about?
त्यो चाहिँ अब हाम्रो नेपालमा वृद्धहरूलाई कस्तो खालको रोगहरू लाग्छ हैन, अनि कसरी चाहिँ मान्छेहरूले केयर गर्छन् यस्तो बारेमा थियो.
How was the overall experience?
It was very good. त्यहाँ चाहिँ अब जस्तो वृद्ध आश्रममा गएपछि बुढाबुढीहरूसँग बोल्दाखेरि कस्तो आनन्द आउँछ नि मनमा हैन, त्यस्तो. It was one of the best times I had there.
Definitely. Ani, of course, about schooling after time भयो. When kind of like, of course, getting good grades and getting into maths and science and physics and those things, have you been always excited or interested on tech field math or industrial aspect? Have you always been excited on that one?
I wouldn't say I've always been excited about it, but I didn't think that much through when I was a child, basically. So I had many different aspirations. कहिले मलाई psychologist बन्न मन लाग्थ्यो, कहिले मलाई pilot बन्न मन लाग्थ्यो, कहिले engineer बन्न मन लाग्थ्यो, doctor एउटा कहिले बन्न मन लागेन.
Your father was doing interviews and journalist, and mom was also at the office. Did you ever got that kind of impression that त्यही लाइनमा लाग्ने हो, लाग्नुपर्छ भनेकोले? Did you ever feel that?
त्यही लाइनमा लाग्नुपर्छ भनेर हैन कि, but my mom and dad, they both were always working. They both had a good education. So यति चाहिँ हामीलाई थाहा थियो कि पढ्नुपर्छ, पढेपछि financial freedom होस् या social freedom होस्, सबै freedom चाहिँ जब पढ्छौं अनि त्यसपछि एउटा ठाउँमा पुग्छौं, then you get all the freedoms that you have. So always बच्चैदेखि पढ्नुपर्छ भन्ने चाहिँ
so
दिमागमा थियो
good emphasis on quality of education,
Yes, definitely.
Ani why Finland? Any kind of like reasonings? When was which year did you come to Finland?
Late 2011.
Late 2011, eh? So any kind of like major reasons that you chose Finland?
Not really major reasons. सबैजनाले सोध्नुहुन्छ यो क्वेसन हैन यहाँ
pretty basic.
very basic
very basic, eh?
Yeah, and especially Finnish people, they ask you why are you here, because it's not like it's not the most inviting country, in a sense that there is no like a lot of job opportunities. There is no the culture is very different from Nepal, I think. So त्यसले गर्दा चाहिँ किन आको होला भनेर चाहिँ सबैको क्युरियोसिटी जाग्छ. But मलाई चाहिँ किन आउनु थियो भने I think 2011 तिर that was the time when everybody was going out of the country for education especially. अहिले त धेरै नै जानुहुन्छ बाहिर हैन. तर त्यति बेला चाहिँ भर्खर त्यो सुरु भइरा थियो अनि स्पेशली एजुकेसनको लागि चाहिँ धेरै स्टुडेन्ट्सहरु बाहिर जानुहुन्थ्यो. So मलाई चाहिँ I think it was around 6th 7th grade that I thought I will go out to explore basically. So मलाई चाहिँ नेपालमा बस्न प्रब्लम भएर निस्केको हैन कि नेपालमा बस्न मन थियो हैन. तर also like I wanted to explore more. So युरोपमा के हुन्छ, अमेरिकामा के हुन्छ, अस्ट्रेलियामा के हुन्छ हैन, धेरै ठाउँहरु घुम्न मन लागिरा थियो अनि उता गएर पढ्ने अनि त्यसै मान्छेहरु चिन्ने, डिफरेंट कल्चर्सहरु थाहा हुने. So that was I think my main motivation to go out. Finland त्यति बेला I think I had two options. Either I wanted to go to Germany or either I wanted to go to Finland. Germany मा language को problem हैन, language 1 year पढ्नु पर्छ, you would waste your 1 year. It's not a bad thing, but I just didn't want to learn German language at the time. अनि यहाँ चाहिँ अब Finnish language खासै म पढ्छु भनेर सोचेको पनि थिएन मैले, because I thought like I would come here, study, and then I would go somewhere else. त्यो चाहिँ मेरो चाहिँ mindset त्यस्तो थियो. अनि त्यति बेला Finnish education system free थियो. So I just had to come here and study, and that was it. So मेरो main motivation नै म यहाँ आएर पढ्ने मात्रै हो. अनि त्यसपछि अब जे गरिन्छ भनेर सोचले म that's the only reason that I came to Finland.
How was the impression of the education system? Because I remember about 2005 मा Finland आए हैन, त्यतिखेर चाहिँ अब of course we didn't have much information about the country itself. अब Google पनि त्यतिखेर अब हामीले त्यति गर्ने चलन पनि थिएन अनि प्लस अब इन्टरनेट पनि अब साइबर क्याफेमा जाने हो, हल्का यताउता हेर्ने हो, but we were not that much focused on those things. अनि त्यतिखेर पनि अब अरूहरु हामीभन्दा अगाडि आउनेहरुको पनि अब के अब आजकल पो त अब फेसबुकमा यु गेट सो मेनी ग्रुप्स. अब यही हेर्यो भने नेपाल इन फिनल्यान्ड हेर्यो भने 14-15 हजार हुन्छ हैन. I don't think everybody is in here, right? But there is a lot of information हैन for them to get in. अहिले जो पनि आउन मन लाग्छ फिनल्यान्डमा, they have got a lot of information, lot of different channels. त्यतिखेर चाहिँ अब हामीसँग चाहिँ थिएन के. अनि I can even imagine even in 2011 I think I don't think there was also that much information. And of course this माथि अब education पनि free थियो अनि अहिले पो त अब people are paying 10-12,000 euros per year. अब imagine students paying and त्यसमाथि jobs छैन है. So how difficult it is हैन. Anyway, so you are in Finland. What were the earlier kind of like challenges or opportunities, so especially about academic मा आइसकेपछि अनि how did you find the quality of the education in Finland? You came to Lappeenranta, right?
Yeah, no, actually I came to Helsinki.
Oh, okay.
म Arkada University of Applied Science मा पढे मैले first मा. So there was this plastics engineering. So मैले त्यो पढे 4 वर्ष. Then I moved to Lappeenranta for 2 years, a master's degree. So first my education system, it's very, very different than Nepal. नेपालमा अब bachelor masters कस्तो हुन्छ त मलाई थाहा छैन, but I know from others that it's very intense. You have to just read all the books that is available to you. पढ्ने हैन. But यहाँ चाहिँ easier थियो in my opinion. हामीले 10th grade मा 11th grade मा हैन जे पढ्यौं त्यो हल्का रिपिट हुन्थ्यो. But I think it was from a different perspective. So हामीले चाहिँ म्याथमेटिकल इक्वेसन्सहरू गऱ्यौँ भने यहाँ आएर चाहिँ त्यसको एप्लिकेसन्सहरू सिक्यौँ सो द्याट वाज फ्रम अ डिफ्रेन्ट पर्सपेक्टिभ सो आई थिङ्क द्याट वाज भेरी भेरी इम्पोर्टेन्ट फर मी टु अल्सो अन्डरस्ट्यान्ड द्याट द डिफ्रेन्ट टाइप्स अफ एजुकेसन द्याट वी गेट इन नेपाल एन्ड हियर एन्ड वाइ द एजुकेसन सिस्टम इज कन्सिडर्ड लाइक द बेस्ट इन द वर्ल्ड because it goes from a bit different perspective. यहाँ चाहिँ अब एप्लिकेसन कसरी हुन्छ यहाँको प्र्याक्टिकलिटिजहरूले गरेर चाहिँ it has become the best education system in the world.
And I think मैले के अब आफ्नै अब भनौँ न युनिभर्सिटी पढ्दाखेरि पनि I think the collaborative nature, group works that you have to do of a field visit आफ्नै ठाउँमा छ depending on the course that you are taking. I think there's like so much openness अनि कहिलेकाहीँ चाहिँ it's also a lot dependent on you है what kind of grades that you're getting because there's a lot of self-study, a lot of like things that you have to do on your own. त्यसले गर्दा पनि it does affect the grades that you have, affects like how kind of like well you get out of kind of like in a graduate गरिसकेपछि do you actually remember the things that you studied or not. त्यसमा पनि धेरै डिपेन्ड गर्दो रहेछ. I think it's like a lot of to some extent there's a freedom in these universities.
Yes, definitely. You can choose your own courses. You can choose the time when to take that course. It's not to एकदमै फिक्स्ड हुँदैन हैन. नेपालमा जस्तो यो अहिले गरेन भने फेल भयो भने फेरि रिपिट गर्नुपर्छ. I mean यहाँ पनि रिपिट गर्नुपर्छ फेल भयो भने but then you can take your own time. अनि टिचर्सहरू पनि एकदम हेल्पफुल हुन्छ यो कुराले गरेर कोही काम गरिरहेको छ भने काम र स्टडिजहरू एकदम यस हैन त्यो कम्बाइन गरेर अनि त्यसपछि मिलाएर गर्न पाइयो यु क्यान एडजस्ट योर टाइमिङ्स अकर्डिङ टु इट सो द्याट वाज भेरी भेरी नाइस एन्ड especially in master's degree मैले exams though I think I gave like 3 or 4 exams that was it it was just collaborative work so अनि हाम्रोमा चाहिँ लापेनान्तमा चाहिँ के हुन्थ्यो भने there are many different people from different countries so हाम्रो चाहिँ त्यहाँको एउटा प्रोफेसर थियो उसले चाहिँ एउटै कन्ट्रीको एउटै ग्रुपमा बस्ने होइन so different countries
different perspective
would, yes make one group and त्यसपछि त्यो homeworkमा काम गर्ने so he would give us like 2 weeks for that homework and we would just we would never talk to those people otherwise त्यो चाहिँ अनि मिलेर काम गर्यो भने चाहिँ अनि उनीहरूले के सोच्छ हैन उनीहरूले के भनिरहेछ भनेर अलिकति डिफरेन्ट पर्सपेक्टिभबाट थाहा हुन्छ
definitely किनभने अब हाम्रो एजुकेसन सिस्टम इज डिफरेन्ट कम्पेयर टु द फिनिश एजुकेसन सिस्टम अब हाम्रो त भन्ने हो भने त 10 क्लासमा त अब रटाइदो हो नि हैन अब एक्ज्याक्टली बुकमा जे लेखेको छ इफ यु राइट द्याट एक्ज्याक्ट वर्ड टु वर्ड यु आर द टप स्टुडेन्ट हेर्ने हो भने हैन इन मेनी केसेस
I still remember some of the sentences that I कोकेको sentences
अनि त तर anyways of course things might have changed म पनि अब भनौँ न एजुकेसन सिस्टम I don't know how much it has changed तर अहिले at least फिनल्यान्डमा चाहिँ that's how it works a collaborative nature people from different countries coming together perspective different हुन्छ हैन and that's how you know the project gets much more richer you know other different perspective paeपछि so you're doing masters in Lappeenranta and त्यसमा at the same time were you also working at the same time
I was working in the university at the time.
At the research garde हैन त्यतिखेर. What kind of research were you focusing on?
It was about the digital skills in Finland. So अहिले चाहिँ के भइरहेछ भने इकोनोमी ट्रान्जिसनमा गइरहेछ हैन अहिले कति धेरै लेअफ्सहरू यस्तो भइरहेको छ नि त अनि टेक कम्पनीज इन्जिनियरिङ कम्पनीज इन्डस्ट्रियल कम्पनीजहरूमा चाहिँ these changes हुन्छ नि एकदम abruptly हुन लागिरहेको छ there are a lot of artificial intelligence that is coming in different technologies that is coming in it's not there yet but त्यो चेन्जेसहरू अब हुन्छ भन्ने थाहा पाइसकेको छ मान्छेहरूले हैन सो त्यसको लागि चाहिँ employees or then the new employees what kind of skills they are requiring what kind of digital skills they are requiring पहिला के हुन्थ्यो Microsoft Word Excel त्यति हो digital skills usually हैन तर अहिले चाहिँ अब त्यो भन्दा धेरै चाहिन्छ त्यसमा Power BI थपियो त्यसमा ClickView थपियो त्यसमा रिसर्च थपिन्छ हैन अनि artificial intelligence को knowledge भएको मान्छेहरू चाहिन्छ so these kind of different skills what is required in the Finnish industry so त्यसको बारेमा research so that was also my thesis topic अनि त्यसपछि त्यो बाहेक अरूहरू पनि रिसर्चहरू भइरहन्छ हैन युनिभर्सिटीमा अनि त्यसमा पनि मैले चाहिँ असिस्ट गर्दिन्थेँ and I was also assisting my professor to teach few of his classes.
Okay, interesting. Was it the same time, I was just looking into some of the things that you've done, there was a paper on understanding human-machine collaborative.
Yes.
Is that something that you wrote during that time कि अलि पछि नै हो?
त्यो मेरो PhD को one of the
Okay,
articles हो.
okay.
So मैले जब युनिभर्सिटी सकाएँ, मास्टर्स सक्यो, त्यसपछि चाहिँ मैले अटोटेकमा जब पाएँ हैन. ठ्याक्क त्यो मास्टर्स थिसिस सकिँदैखेरि अनि मैले युनिभर्सिटीमा काम छोड्दिएँ त्यति बेला. सो द्याट्स हाउ आई ट्रान्जेक्सन टु द इन्डस्ट्री. सो अटोटेक भनेको चाहिँ इन्जिनियरिङ कम्पनी हो. सो उनीहरूको चाहिँ माइनिङ मिनरल्स एन्ड माइनिङ ब्रान्चमा त्यहाँ चाहिँ मैले प्रपोजल म्यानेजरको जब पाएँ. त्यति बेला चाहिँ अनि त्यसपछि चाहिँ मैले PhD पनि सुरु गर्छु भनेर सोचिरहेको थिएँ बिकज आई जस्ट वान्टेड टु लर्न मोर एन्ड स्टडी मोर टु यु नो गो अ बिट अहेड इन योर करियर. सो PhD सुरु गर्छु भनेर मैले भने मेरो प्रोफेसरलाई भने तर म काम पनि गरिरहेको छु अनि मैले कसरी गर्ने भनेर सोधेँ अनि he was like no it's fine फिनल्यान्डमा पढाइसँगै काम पनि गर्न मिल्छ हैन. So you just need to adjust your timings. जहिले सक्छौ गर्ने अनि यति क्रेडिट्सहरु सकाउनुपर्छ, यतिवटा आर्टिकल लेख्नुपर्छ, then you just write the book. So easy तरिकाले लिन्छ के यहाँ हैन युनिभर्सिटीमा पनि. अनि कामबाट पनि when you are also in the industry then they also don't go against it. They encourage you to study more because उनीहरुलाई पनि फाइदा हुन्छ नि त. हामीले जति पढ्यो, हामीले जति नयाँ कुराहरु लिएर आयो, उनीहरुलाई नि फाइदै हुने हो. So at that time I wrote that article.
And what was that based? Kind of like what was the kind of like a main kind of key takeaways? I think you wrote it with somebody else. Did you have some co-author, right?
Yes. त्यसको चाहिँ के गोल चाहिँ के थियो भने हाम्रो रिसर्चहरु चाहिँ अहिले कहाँ छ. So it was a bit of a as is analysis of human machine collaboration. So तपाई यहाँ बसिरहनु भएको छ हैन. तपाईले चाहिँ एउटा टेक्नोलोजी एउटा आर्टिफिशियल इन्टेलिजेन्स छ. त्योसँग चाहिँ एउटा कोलाबोरेटिभ स्पेसमा कसरी काम गर्ने. what kind of work artificial intelligence can do and what kind of work you can do. So त्यसलाई चाहिँ अनि मिलाएर चाहिँ बेस्ट पोसिबल वर्क प्लेस कसरी बनाउने त्यसको बारेमा थियो.
Interesting. And how kind of like was it again connecting it to Autodeck? Was it how you got into that, or was it in collaboration with some companies, or was that an independent research?
It was more independent.
Okay.
I had co-authors.
Okay.
मेरो प्रोफेसरको नाम जहिले पनि हुनुपर्छ हैन
Oh,
आर्टिकलमा.
is it like that?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So usually, I mean, you don't have to, but usually first the professor ले पनि help गर्छ नि त.
Okay.
So if somebody has done something, review मात्रै गरेको छ भने उनीहरुको नाम लेख्नु
Oh, I
पर्छ.
didn't know that. Oh, interesting.
So मेरो एउटा साथी थियो त्यहाँ युनिभर्सिटीमा. सो ऊ मैले अनि त्यसपछि मेरो प्रोफेसर हामी तीनजनाले लेखेको थियौँ त्यो आर्टिकल. सो इट वाज दिस रिसर्च बेस्ड आर्टिकल.
Yes. Ani, then now you're getting into Autodeck and how has the journey been so far? Now you've been in Autodeck and you've been also in Neste and now in Konecranes. How has the journey been? Of course, now I'm not academic but research field, but now you're working in kind of like a real kind of proper industrial scene, proper corporate world. How has the transition been for you?
It was quite smooth for me. सबैको त्यस्तो हुँदैन हैन, बट मलाई मेरो चाहिँ स्मुथै थियो जस्तो लागेछ मलाई अहिलेसम्म. पहिला प्रपोजल म्यानेजरमा मैले सुरु गरेँ. इट वाज मोर लाइक अ 3 months जब. अनि त्यसपछि चाहिँ 6 months भयो. त्यसपछि आई गट अ पर्मानेन्ट पोजिसन देयर. त्यसपछि मैले प्रपोजल म्यानेजमेन्ट गरेँ 1-2 वर्ष जति. त्यसपछि मैले एउटा रिजनको प्रपोजल्स हेड गरेँ. त्यति बेला चाहिँ रसिया CIS भन्ने रिजन हुन्थ्यो हैन. अब अहिले त रसियनहरुसँग त्यस्तो बिजनेस गर्ने छैन, यहाँ हुँदैन. सो त्यति बेलामा चाहिँ अनि रसिया CIS रिजन हेड गरिरहेको थिएँ. ठ्याक्क वार हुनुभन्दा अगाडि चाहिँ मैले त्यहाँ छोडिदिएँ. I didn't know war was going to happen, but बट मैले छोडिदिएँ त्यति बेला. अनि अब धेरै भयो यो पोजिसनमा. म अब 1-2 वर्ष बसिसकेँ होइन. अब यहाँ बस्यो भने बसेको हुन्छ. इट विल बी भेरी स्ट्याग्नेन्ट. एन्ड त्यही भएर चाहिँ मैले चेन्ज गर्ने डिसिसन लिएँ. सो आई वेन्ट टु प्रोजेक्ट म्यानेजमेन्ट. सो मैले चाहिँ प्रोजेक्ट म्यानेजमेन्टमा गएर डेलिभरी प्रोजेक्ट्सहरू हुन्छ त्यो इन्जिनियरिङ कम्पनीको. सो उनीहरूको प्रडक्ट्सहरू डेलिभर गर्ने, त्यहाँको कस्टमर्सहरूसँग कुरा गर्ने, इन्टर्नल सपोर्टसँग कुरा मिलाउने होइन, यस्तो काम त्यो प्रोजेक्ट म्यानेजमेन्ट गरेँ मैले त्यति बेला. अनि त्यो पनि गरेँ मैले few months. That was a special project because त्यति बेला चाहिँ मेट्सो र Autodesk merge भएको थियो. So we had to merge two departments. So merge गर्नलाई चाहिँ अनि के चाहिन्छ भनेर त्यो support गरेँ. Then after that business development तिर जान मन लाग्यो मलाई. And then I changed the department.
Okay.
त्यसपछि म
internal department within the same company.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yes. So I just wanted to change that because I get bored if I stay in one place for a bit too long. So मैले त्यसपछि चाहिँ consumables department मा change गरेँ. त्यहाँ चाहिँ मैले business development and analysis गर्थेँ हैन. त्यहाँ चाहिँ हाम्रो BU head हुनुहुन्थ्यो अनि BU head लाई चाहिँ हाम्रो business मा के भइराछ त from start to end. So supply, procurement, त्यो सबैको डेटाहरू हुन्छ नि उनीहरूको आफ्नै एनालिस्टहरू पनि हुन्छ बट बिजनेस पर्सपेक्टिभबाट ओभरभ्यू सो स्टार्टिङ फ्रम द सप्लाई till the customer relationship management CRMsहरू हुन्छ हैन त्यहाँको डेटाहरू हुन्छ त्यसपछि डेलिभरिजको हुन्छ logistics डेटाहरू हुन्छ So combining all of that, what does it really mean for our business? So हाम्रो business चाहिँ कहाँ भइराछ के थियो last year मा so I was creating a insight for our business unit head. So त्यहाँ चाहिँ त्यति बेला चाहिँ अनि त्यो चाहिँ मैले 1 वर्ष जति गरेँ त्यति बेला.
And we're talking about still Autodesk, right?
Still Autodesk. Right? Metso Autodesk
at the time. And especially now you transitioned to Neste. You went to Neste. What was the process? How was the process? And then what was the role that you did in Neste?
Neste मा चाहिँ business intelligence manager को role थियो. त्यो role चाहिँ मैले म मेट्सोमा 2-4 वर्ष धेरै नै भइसकेको थियो बस्ने अनि आई डिडन्ट सी वेयर आई कुड गो मोर फ्रम देयर सो त्यहाँ चाहिँ मैले केही अपर्च्युनिटिजहरू देखिनँ जस्तो लाग्यो त्यसपछि आई थट आई निड टु अल्सो चेन्ज द कम्पनी किनभने अब एउटै कम्पनीमा बस्दा चाहिँ बोर हुन्छ अनि त्यहाँ बस्ने मान्छेहरू त बस्छन् 20-30 वर्ष धेरै नै बस्छन्
especially in corporation there's like a lot of people with कहिलेकाहीँ यसो मान्छेहरूको LinkedInहरु they've been working for 20-30 years in the same company of course different positions of course when there's a corporate level मा भइसकेपछि of course there's a lot of security in there and of course internal department you can change the roles and stuff so I've seen a lot of people like just I wouldn't say getting stuck but just probably they're comfortable probably you know they have their everything going on according to the way that they want but I've seen a lot of people like you mentioned right
अनि मलाई चाहिँ अब यो कम्पनीबाट निस्केर मलाई अरूहरू अपर्च्युनिटिजहरू हेर्न मन थियो अरू कम्पनीजहरूले नि के हुँदो रहेछ भनेर हेर्न मन लागेर मलाई चाहिँ अनि मैले अरू नेस्टेमा एप्लाई गरेको थिएँ त्यति बेला अनि नेस्टेमा चाहिँ अब यहाँको एप्लिकेसन प्रोसेस आई डोन्ट नो हाउ मच यु नो अबाउट इट बट इट्स भेरी लङ इट्स लाइक 2-3 months long process
easily especially senior role mata sometimes you've got to go through like 6-7 rounds right especially I mean it's that's the system that they have right so sometimes it's like 6-7 stations up you still don't know that if you're going to get it or not of course the process is so tedious
right ekdam psychological analysis mathematical tests English tests and timed that is the most difficult part I think it's timed so chito garnu paryo haina so that took like 3 months I think in total but anyways at the end I got the offer so I changed my role Neste ma chai hamro renewables department ma थियो अनि त्यहाँ चाहिँ के हुन्थ्यो भने अब it's an oil company हैन Neste भनेको बट उनीहरूले चाहिँ एकदम धेरै रिसर्च गर्छन् के अब त्यो रिन्युएबल कसरी बनाउने प्लास्टिक्सहरूबाट कसरी ओइल निकाल्ने हुन्छ नि अनि त्यो अर्ग्यानिक ओइलहरूलाई चाहिँ कसरी रिफाइन गरेर अनि त्यो ए ग्रेडमा निकाल्ने अनि त्यसपछि त्यसलाई चाहिँ रिन्युएबल भनेर सस्टेनेबल ओइल भनेर बेच्न पाउँछ हैन सो इट डिपेन्ड्स विच कम्पनीज विल बाई देम बिकज इट्स अल्सो गेट्स मोर एक्सपेन्सिभ So त्यस्तो त्यो रोलमा चाहिँ थिएँ म अनि त्यसमा चाहिँ business intelligence manager it's more about it's not only data analysis but also looking from a business perspective so business मा के चाहिरहेको छ requirementsहरू के हो अनि you also need to understand the data side so के छ हामीसँग हामीलाई के चाहिँ चाहिरहेछ डेटामा हैन अनि त्यो डेटाले के भन्छ त what does it actually mean for the business so त्यो चाहिँ त्यस्तो खालको ट्रान्सलेसन भनौँ न from data to business and business to data so that kind of role I was playing there
then after that you came to now current role
Yeah.
at Konecranes, how the transition कस्तो भयो फेरि? Did you have to go through again 7-8 rounds of interviews?
नेस्टेमा बिजनेस इन्टेलिजेन्स म्यानेजरमा काम गरिरहेको थिएँ म बट एट द टाइम नेस्टेमा ठ्याक्कै मर्ज हुने कुरा आइरहेको थियो सो त्यति बेलामा चाहिँ सबै बिजनेस युनिट्सहरूलाई मर्ज गरेर उनीहरूले वान रिन्युएबल बिजनेस युनिट बनाउने भन्यो अनि त्यति बेलामा चाहिँ के भइरहेको थियो भने मेरो म्यानेजरलाई उनलाई चाहिँ अब लोवर रोल दिने कुरा भयो होइन अनि मैले थाहा पाएँ कि अब now the position I was in I'm not going to keep that position अनि मलाई चाहिँ अब यताउता ट्रान्सफर त गरिदिन्छ भन्ने थाहा पाएँ मैले although I didn't know for sure but त्यस्तो लाग्यो
But at one point in Nestema, there was a huge layoff going on,
Yes,
right? I think there was like
that was the
1,500 something, quite many people. I know like personally, like some of my kind of like people that I know, she's been working like I think 30% जस्तो Nestema काम गर्यो.
Yeah.
And she's just out.
Yeah.
That's the corporate world, eh?
Yes. They don't care. So you can't also really care about your company that much. त्यस्तो हुन्छ नि उनीहरूलाई अब चाहिएन भने चाहिएन. That it is what it is. That's the corporate world.
So you got into now, like you were now thinking, hey, you already got a sense of vibe of that one. So
yes किनभने मर्ज हुँदाखेरि के हुन्छ अब दुईटा डिपार्टमेन्टमा दुईटा टिम्सहरू हुन्छ हेड्सहरू हुन्छ अब एउटा हेड त जानु पर्यो.
Exactly.
So that's how I felt like अब चाहिँ यहाँ चाहिँ चेन्ज गर्नुपर्ने जस्तो लाग्यो अनि त्यसपछि मैले हेर्न थालेँ त्यति बेलामा चाहिँ मैले सोचिरहेको थिएँ आई निड टु गो अ बिट मोर अन द स्ट्राटेजिक एरिया म चाहिँ अब बिजनेस इन्टेलिजेन्स डेटा एनालिसिस बिजनेस एनालिसिस सबै पुग्यो जस्तो लाग्यो मलाई अनि त्यसपछि आई वान्टेड टु गो मोर कोर्पोरेट लेट्स से सो स्ट्राटेजीतिर जान मन लागिरहेको थियो मलाई अनि त्यसपछि कोनेक्रेन्समा चाहिँ ठ्याक्क त्यति बेला एक्चुली बिजनेस स्ट्राटेजी भनेर अर्कै रोल थियो अनि मैले त्यसमा एप्लाई गरेँ त्यति बेलामा चाहिँ अनि त्यो मार्टिन भन्ने थियो होइन ऊ चाहिँ नेदरल्यान्ड्सको मान्छे हो अनि उसले मलाई इन्टरभ्यू लियो अनि we talked for 2 hours or so अनि इन्टरभ्यू लिएपछि चाहिँ उसले के भन्यो भने तिम्रो like you have a lot of experience I don't think this role suits you अनि त्यो रोलमा चाहिँ एक्चुअली टेम्प्लेट्सहरू बनाउने होइन अनि त्यो चाहिँ क्यास्केड गरिदिने तल रोल्सहरूमा त्यस्तो खालको थियो अनि I think you need more challenges like you टेम्प्लेट्स बनाउने काम चाहिँ it doesn't suit you भनेर उसले चाहिँ मलाई अर्को मान्छेलाई recommend
When we talking about templates, Ghazal, what were you talking about?
It's about so जुनै पनि कम्पनीमा स्ट्राटेजिजहरू बनाउँदाखेरि होइन माथि corporate लेभलबाट चाहिँ टेम्प्लेट्सहरू तल क्यास्केड हुन्छ.
Okay.
So they give you some kind of PowerPoint slides or Excel sheets to fill that up. And then when every business unit and business area, they fill that up, then it goes to the corporate. And then they combine all of that and then provide the insights to the CEO.
Okay.
So that was that role. अनि उसले चाहिँ मलाई यो looking at your experience, you should be in this another role. So you might जुन अहिले रोलमा छ त्यो चाहिँ थिँदै थिएन.
Okay.
They made this up. So यहाँ म अहिले भएको रोलमा चाहिँ अनि मेरो त्यो बिजनेस एरियाको म्यानेजर बिजनेस एरियाको प्रेसिडेन्ट र फाइनान्सको बिजनेस एरियाको फाइनान्स हेडले चाहिँ अनि उनीहरूले मलाई इन्टरभ्यू लिएको त्यसपछि सो अनि त्यति बेलामा पनि 2 घण्टा त्यो कुरा भयो.
Was it like when 3-4 जना अनि plus like with you or was it like a different interviews with each of them?
Different interviews.
Okay, different levels.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because उनीहरूलाई आफ्नो तरिकाले हेर्नु पर्छ हैन सबैजनाले एउटा इन्टरभ्यू लिँदा 1 घण्टा इन्टरभ्यू लिनु र अब यसले 1 घण्टा
Specific, है
उनीहरूको लागि उनीहरूले सोच्नु
आफ्नो एक्सपर्टिज लेभलबाट चाहिँ अनि does it match the person, does the person match the role or not भन्ने कुरा I think they can evaluate even more better when they have like a one-on-one sort of like interview.
Yes. So but everything happened online. त्यति बेला म ट्राभल पनि गरिरहेको थिएँ सो बाहिर अरू कन्ट्रिजहरूमा पनि एभ्रिथिङ ह्यापन अनलाइन सो इट वाज भेरी गुड सो 4-5वटा इन्टरभ्यू भयो त्यसपछि टेस्ट्सहरू भयो होइन अनि त्यसपछि 3-4 महिनापछि अनि त्यसपछि त्यो रोल पाएँ मैले फेरि.
You've been kind of like traveling quite a bit. What do you focus on when you're traveling? Is it like partnership? Is it much more, of course, business development? There's a lot about creating connections with different potential partners and suppliers and those things. What do you usually focus on?
मेरो अहिलेको रोलमा चाहिँ म पार्टनर्सहरूलाई हाम्रो कम्पनीमा पार्टनरसिप गर्न आऊ या कस्टमर बन्न आऊ भन्ने चाहिँ होइन कि हाम्रो अलरेडी एक्जिस्टिङ कस्टमर्सहरूलाई चाहिँ कसरी relationship better banaune. So that is one of the focus. Another is on the strategy side. So each countries ma different branches haru huncha. So each branch ma gaera chai unharule chai ke गर्न लागिरहेछ the next 3 years. Strategies are usually for 3 to 5 years, हैन. So next 3 years, next 5 years ma उनीहरुको priorities haru के हो. So US को priority र China को priority, they are different. So उनीहरुको each sections ma, each country ma उनीहरुले के चाहिँ गर्न खोजिरहेछ next 3 years and why they are doing that. What are the actions they are taking? What is their target? So यस्तो कुराहरु चाहिँ अनि figure out गर्ने.
And it's so important, right? When you have like a different kind of like let's say offices or different units in different countries to be on the same page. Yeah, go strategy goes to us because I think it's going to affect the strategy that's been built in the other country, even though that's a different environment. But still, at the end of the day, probably the partners are similar. Probably the customers are similar. I know. So I think being in that position and getting perspective. Of course, you're going to bring up some perspective. What's actually happening in the level in Finland? Perspective, but probably it will affect the overall kind of strategy that's going to affect Konecranes in general.
Yes. And the way ठाउँबाट हुन्छ एउटा चाहिँ overall global strategy हुन्छ हैन. त्यो चाहिँ ग्लोबल इकोनोमीमा के भइरहेको छ सो त्यो चाहिँ टप डाउन हुन्छ. कर्पोरेटले हेर्छ, बिजनेस एरियाले हेर्छ, हामीले बनाउँछौँ त्यो चाहिँ हैन. अर्को चाहिँ लोकल एरियामा के भइरहेको छ. सो द्याट्स व्हाट आई एम डुइङ एट द मोमेन्ट. सो लोकलमा गएर चाहिँ उनीहरूले के गर्न खोजिरहेछ. सो त्यो सबै प्रोजेक्ट्सहरू इनिसिएटिभ्सहरू थाहा पायो भने चाहिँ हामीले जुन स्ट्राटेजी बनाउँछौँ बिजनेस एरिया लेभलबाट अनि लोकल एरिया लेभलमा जुन बनेको छ एन्ड देन वी मिट इन द मिडल ग्राउन्ड एन्ड वी ट्राई टु फिगर आउट what is actually possible.
Right. And you've also like worked in quite many different companies and bigger corporations and stuff. Your topic saying woman in tech topics. I think it's getting, of course, every day it's getting more and more. Kind of people are talking more about it and the diverse perspective, especially about women in tech, like involving more women in the tech field or in the engineering field in that sense. How has been your experience? You've been working quite many years. After experience, must say, how have you been feeling? And unsani about key. Do you see some positive aspect of it? How do you see the future of it on this aspect?
I think future women are the future. Women who एकदम अगाडि आउनु पर्छ, उनीहरु assertive भएर aggressively industries-हरुमा जानु पर्छ हैन. You just have to network a bit more because I don't know of all the women if they are networking or not, but networking is very very important to meet people in different levels. So हाम्रो साथीहरुको ग्रुप हुन्छ हैन, अर्को हुन्छ कोलिग्सहरु हुन्छ, त्यसपछि अब ठुलो कर्पोरेट लेभल सीईओहरु हुन्छ हैन, उनीहरुको डिफरेन्ट आफ्नै एरिया हुन्छ नि त. तर हामीले चाहिँ सबै लेभलमा चाहिँ नेटवर्क गर्न सिक्नुपर्छ अनि त्यो गर्नु पनि पर्छ. आई थिंक इन फेसबुक देयर इज वन ग्रुप इन्टरनेशनल वर्किङ वुमेन अफ फिनल्यान्ड. उनीहरूले चाहिँ डिफ्रेन्ट इभेन्ट्सहरू अर्गनाइज गर्छ हैन. अनि त्यहाँ चाहिँ धेरैजना डिफ्रेन्ट कम्पनीजहरूको इन्डस्ट्रिजहरूको हैन, टेक industry, engineering, business, consultants, different types of women around huncha त्यहाँ. अनि if you go to that event, then you also see how they are working, where they are working हैन. त्यो चाहिँ अनि त्यस्तो खालको नेटवर्किङ इभेन्टमा चाहिँ जानुपर्छ. त्यहाँ गएर नि जब पाइन्छ भनेर होइन कि त्यहाँ गयो भने चाहिँ सिकिन्छ भनेर. So learning is very very important.
Yeah, and I think the international working woman, I think it is that kind of group. I know a few of my friends also been part of that and also running that. I think they have like 8,000-9,000 members, and it's a big community. And they, exactly like you said, they do quite many different events. They also organize some sort of like seminars and stuff and smaller kind of like gatherings, really promoting and really encouraging women to get in tech.
Yes.
And also there is another group called Women in Tech itself. I was working in a previous company, Inclusive. And in there we had a kind of like another kind of company called Women in Tech. They just had an event in Dipoli in Espoo. They were like almost 400-500 people, and it was amazing. From your experience, Kajal, what do you think? कोही पनि मान्छेहरू कर्पोरेट वर्ल्डमा आउनु चाहनुहुन्छ अफ कोर्स you've done your own academic aspect त छँदैछ from masters to PhD other research background you have that already but also now the corporate हुन्छ नि background what do you think if people want to get in that industry what do you think that they have to be careful about or just like हुन्छ नि how do they become ready to get into that
You cannot really be fully ready for everything. You just have to go for it. एउटा हाम्रोमा चाहिँ युनिभर्सिटीमा के सिकाउँथ्यो भने जो युनिभर्सिटीमा चाहिँ एउटा कोर्स हुन्थ्यो जसमा चाहिँ हाम्रो सिभीहरू कसरी बनाउने कसरी एप्लाई गर्ने कुन कुन वेबसाइट्सहरूमा एप्लाई गर्ने भनेर त्यस्तो कोर्स हुन्थ्यो अनि त्यहाँ चाहिँ के भन्थ्यो भने रिसर्चले चाहिँ के देखाउँछ अरे भने when women apply women look for the jobs that they are fit for 90%. So if the requirements are 90% what they have, then they apply for that job. But when men apply, then it's 40-50% मिल्यो भने ल ठिक छ भनेर एप्लाई गर्छन् अरे So I think for women it's very very important just to go for it and not think too much that oh मैले त यो गर्न सक्दिनँ कि जस्तो लाग्यो त्यस्तो चाहिँ सोच्नु हुँदैन हैन but सबैले एप्लाई गर्नुपर्छ I think it's for both male and female it's very very important to be confident about yourself and apply for what you are interested in rather than what you have because skills जहिले पनि learn गर्न सकिन्छ हैन मलाई 5 वर्ष अगाडि जे आउँदैन थियो अहिले धेरै आउँछ नि अब मलाई 5 वर्षपछि अलि धेरै कुरा आउँछ होला अहिले मलाई सबै आउँदैन so it should be a bit more of a learning process so learn गर्न चाहिँ कहिले पनि छोड्नु हुँदैन त्यो चाहिँ जहिले पनि मोटिभेसन त्यसमा चाहिँ राखिराख्नुपर्छ
Great to hear that. Definitely you mentioned of learning. It never ends. Every day is learning process. Especially if you really want to go forward in the career. I know about in your own work. There's like new systems coming in, new softwares coming in. Again, depending on the roles and responsibilities that you have, and of course, competitive analysis. Pani garnu paryo. Arko market ma ke bhairasa and are you kind of going to be fit enough for that particular role in the next 2 years or in the next 3 years so you have to think on those perspective right and I think when you are in the corporate world definitely I think that is something that kind of challenges that's coming in because you never know right sabale cut down garera so you never know when you are going to be on the firing line so you have to be ready for that at least collect those skills on the side because you never know what's going to happen I think that was it from my side I thank you so much for coming and also sharing your experience and your expertise on this episode any last words that you want to share especially for example to the listeners and to the viewers that are watching and also for example maybe also share what are your upcoming kind of like upcoming things that you're working on especially that is connected to your career
I think for the new people who want to get into the job in the industry सबैजना नेपालबाट आउँदै हुनुहुन्छ धेरैजना आउँदै हुनुहुन्छ I think these years so many Nepali people are coming so उनीहरूलाई चाहिँ म अलिकति सोचेर आउनु पनि भन्छु हैन यतिकै बाहिर जाने भनेर नआउनुस् हैन किनभने यहाँ जब छैन अहिलेको जब कन्डिसन इट्स रियली ब्याड सबै इन्डस्ट्रिजहरुले सबै कम्पनीजहरुले ले अफ गरिरहेको छ so you need to be
massive layoffs going on
yes and we don't know what is that going to bring अहिले इकोनोमिक कन्डिसन डाउन नै गइरहेको छ हैन जब यति धेरै लेअफ्सहरु हुन्छ अनि सबै भार चाहिँ अब कसलाई पर्छ गभर्नमेन्टलाई पर्छ अनि गभर्नमेन्टले हामीलाई अब अनइम्प्लोयड पिपलहरुलाई पैसा पनि दिन्छ नि त यहाँ त So अनि नयाँ जब्सहरु छैन so everybody will be jobless so you have to really be careful about why you are coming here if you are coming here to study to build up your career then 2-4 वर्ष काम पाइदैन भनेर सोच लिएर पनि आउनु पर्छ हैन किनभने त्यो हुन सक्छ different industry मा different timings हुन्छ हामी 2011 मा पनि जब थिएन त्यतिबेला so we were not getting jobs at the time but 3-4 वर्ष जब पाइदैन भन्ने त्यो पनि थाहा थियो हैन सबैलाई थाहा थियो त्यो अब अहिले चाहिँ अलि धेरै नै अर्कै खालको वेभ आइरहेछ सबैजना बाहिर जानलाई हैन so but you have to be very careful but in the same time be assertive यहाँको मान्छेहरुलाई चाहिँ फिनिश कल्चरहरु चाहिँ के हुन्छ भने एकदम trusting culture हुन्छ हैन so if they trust you they will give you the job if they don't trust you they won't give you the job so if you just have to call them actually. Job apply गरिसकेपछि पनि मैले चाहिँ के गर्थेँ भने job apply गर्यो online, then I would call every person there. त्यहाँ त numbers-हरु दिइराको हुन्छ नि त. So you just need to call them and try to talk with them, try to figure out what they are looking for and if you're fit for that or not. आफ्नो interests-हरु भन्ने हैन, अनि उनीहरुलाई interest लाग्यो भने उनीहरुले बोलाउँछ. You just need to be more aggressive in that sense.
Yeah. Exactly, I totally agree on the last point. Ma saying like giving them a call back. Just how's my application going? Is there anything that you need more? Job apply I'm sure there's always some additional questions that you might have. A question but you can always make up one or two questions. So what's the application going on? Is there any more requirements that we need from our side? Plus, of course, if you have LinkedIn and other platforms, getting engaged with those companies. Hey, this particular person has been getting back to us on certain things. Probably you might not be fit on this kind of role that they have it open. Future and you never know. So that's why I think that some sort of like persistence has to be there from your side, proactiveness from your side. And exactly right now, Finland, it's the job market is not the best at the moment, and a lot of layoffs is going on. So even if you're coming from Nepal or Bisalaisio, for example, that you are already coming, but make sure if you have like maybe like 1 month, 2 month time make that the best use, right? Yes. Learn something, learn the language, or learn some, if you're, start coming to study computer engineer or engineering or whatever topics, at least have, learn something about that before you come, right?
Definitely. Your mindset चाहिँ बनाउनु पर्छ. त्यो भएन भने चाहिँ गाह्रो हुन्छ. The Finnish culture पनि बुझ्नु पर्छ हैन, किन नेपाल र Finnish को culture it's very very different. So यहाँको culture मा भिज्नु पनि पर्छ.
All right. Kazal, thank you so much once again for being here. And all I want to say from my side is stay inspired, keep on grinding, and keep on pushing boundaries to reach new heights. Thank you so much for joining in, and I will see you in the next episode.